Key number 6, teach them how to learn from mistakes. Passage that we're using during this series, Psalm 127 verses 1 and verse 3 once again, unless Yahweh builds a house, the work of the builders is wasted. And verse 3 reads, children are a gift from Yahweh. They are a reward from him. Last time we spoke about the war against our children. And as we continue our series, Family Matters, a kingdom blueprint for the family, today we're going to focus on preparing our children for the battle. I want you to sort of just get your frame of reference around the fact that our children, from the moment that they come into the world, there is an attack, there's a war being waged against them. Again, we mentioned that a little bit last time about some of the things that are going on. Part of our responsibility in this cooperative engagement we have with Yahweh, our Father, is that we are to help do our part to train them up to be able to fight, to stand fast against the strategies of the enemy so that they can become the fruitful and productive adults he needs them to be, that they become the disciples and apostles of Yeshua that seek first his kingdom and his righteousness. That is on us to do. But I know many of us have not been properly equipped. I know that I didn't get that kind of equipping. I didn't know about how to equip my children in that totally, but I got it along the way. I'm still learning. And even though they are adults, there's still things that I can do. It's never too late to begin doing the right thing. We don't know if our children will grow up and become doctors or lawyers or engineers. But we do know they're going to grow up to become adults. The concern is what kind of adult he or she will become. Our duty and our desire is to help them choose to become disciples of the Lord Yeshua, our Messiah. I emphasize help them choose, not make them choose. This doesn't mean they get to choose whether or not they follow our practices as a believer in Christ. That's not the idea. But it means we work at being the best example we can, so they'll want to follow our example. Yes, we may display flaws, inconsistencies, and make mistakes, but who in the Bible didn't? Don't focus on trying to be the perfect parent, but a progressing parent, moving toward being conformed to the image of our Messiah. We want to prepare our children for the battle and the war being waged against them. They'll encounter doors of opportunity and doors of opposition. And so we're going to highlight 7 keys they'll need to be successful. I want to let you know, though, during most of our sessions, I use broad strokes in presenting information, because if I use finer strokes, it would take a lot more time and we need to have some more interaction, because I know you have a lot of questions about some of the details that may go on. So I want to give you enough information that will hopefully salt the oats and make you want some more, and that you will have questions and that you will ask, like more how-tos or what does that mean exactly? Because I want you to be as empowered, equipped, and edified as possible. The battlefield is the mind. If we work to give our children these 7 keys, they'll be better prepared to become the kind of adult that is an effective disciple of Messiah Yeshua. Now, I want to give you a quick description of what a disciple is. That'll help you grasp the concepts of these 7 keys as we go over them. And see if you're in this picture as well. Disciples are teachable people who are yearning to journey beyond just belief in Yeshua, but rather to see the world how Yeshua saw the world and lived in it the way he did. 1, Proverbs 22:6. Train a child in the way appropriate for him, and when he's older, he will not turn from it. Proverbs 22:6. Our responsibility is to learn how our children learn, and that's how we present information to them, spirit and truth. Secondly, Ephesians 6:4. To the fathers in particular, fathers, don't exasperate your children. Instead, bring them up in the training and instruction of Yahweh. That's our responsibility. We're supposed to train them, but not try to beat information into them, but exemplify it and teach them like an apprentice. Thirdly, for this fight, remember, The weapons we fight with are not the weapons of the world. On the contrary, they have divine power to demolish strongholds. That's what we're working with, and this is how we're equipping our children. Please understand, even though our weapons are not carnal or fleshly or natural, they're spiritual, they are very real. So now, key one, teach them Yahweh's instructions. Deuteronomy 6:4-9 remind us, listen, Israel, Yahweh our God, Yahweh alone. Love Yahweh your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your strength. These words that I'm giving you today are to be in your heart. Repeat them to your children. Talk about them when you sit in your house, when you walk along the road, when you lie down, when you get up. Bind them as a sign on your hand and let them be a symbol on your forehead. Write them on the doorposts of your house and on the gates of the city where you dwell. That hand and head thing, that means this is what my hands should be doing. This is what my mind should be thinking about. It doesn't mean to wrap something around your arm and your hand, and it doesn't mean to wrap something around your head. They're all consistently just saying, this is how we should think about what God's instructions are for us. But why is this important to teach them Yahweh's instructions? Because our children need a firm foundation to stand against the strategies of the enemy. In Psalm 1:1, it says, blessed is the man who does not walk in the counsel of the ungodly, nor stand in the way of sinners, nor sit in the seat of the scorner. Their delight is in the Torah or instruction of Yahweh, and in that Torah or instruction, they meditate day and night. They'll be like trees planted by streams of water, bringing forth their fruit in its season, and whatever they do shall prosper. They need to have a firm foundation, and they need to have a good stream of the word of God to keep them strengthened and standing and flourishing. The enemy, I was thinking about, if you've ever seen one of those movies like medieval times when they would go to war, they would have these group of people out front, and they're just marching out front. Well, you know they're going to get you first. Boom, they would go. When they came over to America doing that, they introduced something new. The Americans, that is, or the new Americans, they started guerrilla warfare. Instead of coming out front trying to shoot and hopefully not getting hit first, they would be in trees, behind bushes, and behind rocks. Guerrilla warfare. That's how the enemy is. He's not using what is conventional warfare. He's using whatever it will take for him to win the battle and the victory. We want to prepare our children against that. I'm going to be sharing some things at another time on what we really need to do to prepare our children regarding the Bible when they get into school and especially into college, because that's one place where we might have spent 18 years bringing them up to be believing children, only to, after 2 weeks in college, they say, I don't believe any of this anymore. We can help prepare them for that. We might not have in the past, but we can definitely do it now. And I'll have some ammunition for you at another time. Key number 2, teach them how to listen. Our children need to learn how to listen and pay attention. This will help develop focus and self-control. There are few things worse than a child that doesn't or won't listen. They make more mistakes, they may tend to bully, and they disrespect authority. Oh my goodness. Proverbs 18:13 reads, spouting off before listening to the facts is both shameful and foolish. Oh my goodness. And James 1:19 adds to that by stating, understand this, my dear brothers and sisters, you must all be quick to listen and slow to speak and slow to get angry. To help children not grow up frustrated and angry, we have to help them learn how to listen. They'll misunderstand less things and they'll spout off less as well. Key number 3, teach them the importance of time. Psalm 90:12 reads, teach us to realize the brevity of life so that we may grow in wisdom. We need to tell our children how brief time is. We cannot manage time. So if you have anything that says time management, change that from time management to task management. We can make the most of time with the things we do or don't do in it. Yahweh tells us in Exodus chapter 20, takes 6 days to do the work you need to do. But on the seventh day of the week, make it a vacation day. Take time to read, rehearse, and rejoice with him and his word. Call or visit someone you haven't seen in a while. Spend some time on a hobby or go fishing. Most importantly, just make memories, relax, recuperate, recreate. Carpe diem, seize the day. Make the most of each day you live, not just to fill it up, but make lasting and eternal impressions. Live for your tombstone. That means what will be said at the end of your life rather than just your resume. Look at it like this. In the jar of each day, big rocks are like the most important things in those days. It's important to do these. Then there are smaller rocks that are good things to do. You'll often have time for these. Then there's sand. It doesn't really matter if these things get done or not. So don't let the sand leave no room for the big rocks. Key number 4, teach them how to communicate their thoughts. Our children need to talk with us and those around them. It's extremely important to know their thoughts, their feelings, and ideas about things. Seriously, because they may have things going on in their head that we would never imagine they'd be thinking about. I mean, if you go back into the 70s and the 80s or the 60s, there were just so much that was around us that we could actually get involved with. But now in the end of the 20th and into the 21st century, they've got access to Google or the internet and social media and all kinds of things. Instead of having to go to the Library of Congress or New York or the British Museum to get information, all they have to do is hit a few things on their smartphone, iPad, or computer, and they've got it. They may internalize more than you realize. So we want to make sure that we get them talking. I mean, there was a time when sitting around the dinner table used to be one way families talked with each other and found out what was going on in their thoughts and in their minds. But now, try to find some time. I'd say if you're not doing it, try maybe weekly. And I'm not saying spend hours at it, but just give some time to it to get the pulse of your children. You don't want to be the one trying to figure out how could your 18-year-old massacre a class of children. Ask them how their day's been. Ask how their teachers treat them, their classmates, schoolmates. What did you watch on TikTok or YouTube or Instagram that made you laugh out loud today? Don't make it an inquisition, but an opportunity to open up. So don't be so, stuffy about it. Oh yeah, another important thing I learned early on, don't be overly shocked by the expression on your face by what they say if you want them to talk. If you want them to talk with you, they have to know you can handle it.
I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
Key number 5, teach them how to build something. Teach them how to build something using Lego or jigsaw puzzle or a craft project or play board games or learn music or a sport. And why? This is just games. I got to teach them the Bible. Please understand this. The closer you get to the Father, the nicer you'll find out that he really is. And that he's more of a father than a sovereign trying to get you just to do one thing in life. You better get as many people into my kingdom as you can. He's not doing that. Yeah, but he wants everyone to be saved. Yes, he does. But don't you know, if he doesn't draw them by his spirit, no amount of words that we use will bring them in. He is in control of that. So what we need to realize is, how does he want us to live each day? Yes, he wants us to seek first his kingdom, but then he's given us all things to enjoy. So if I'm going to be a doctor, I have to study medicine or naturopathy. If I'm going to be an engineer, I've got to study things in those areas. There's more to our life and existence on planet Earth than just one book. That book should be central to everything else that I do. There's a place for everything. Now, but again, why do these things? Because we need to teach them how to listen, how to follow instructions, to focus, the importance of time. We'll see creativity, and it's also a confidence builder. It teaches us also their learning style, so we'll know best how to communicate with them, because most likely it might be different than our own. We try to teach people the way that we like to learn. That's great if we have a whole room of us, but too often we don't. And so we need to learn. So we're going to train them up in the way they should go. We need to understand how they learn. And we can see how well a team player they are or aren't when you're playing games, right? Or maybe it shows us how well a team player we are or aren't, because they learn from us. These kinds of things can build up or break down a child's confidence depending on how it's handled. The guidance they get from home provides the foundation needed to stand in the world. We can't just throw them in the deep end of the water and expect them sink or swim. We need to take them through a process so that they'll be ready for the deep water when it's needful to go there. Key number 6, teach them how to learn from mistakes. Say what? Yes, teach them how to learn from mistakes. Teach them how to learn from their mistakes, their failures, and things that don't work out. When I was growing up, my grandparents might give me an instruction to do something that they've never ever asked me to do before, nothing they've ever shown me how to do, nothing they've ever actually demonstrated how to do. And I would go ahead and try to do it. I would most likely get it wrong. And then they would say, well, don't you know how to do this? And I'd say, well, no, you should have common sense. For the longest time, I kept wondering why I had no common sense. Then I realized common sense is common to those who have a common experience. Sadly, when a child makes a mistake, some parents criticize them, shout at them, smack them, punish them, remind them, preach at them, argue, and even threaten them, calling them names like stupid, thick, dumb, idiot, and on and on and on. And you think this child is going to be ready to stand up against what the enemy has coming against them? The problem with these methods is they don't work. So consider these ways to help children learn from their mistakes. It's a long list, so I'm just going to pull out 3 of them. Accept mistakes as being normal. I grew up thinking, man, when you make a mistake, that's the worst thing on the planet. You never want to be wrong. So in conversations, I would always make sure I said enough words that people knew at the end I won the argument. Then I learned that ain't right. The idea is not winning the argument. The idea is, are we coming to a proper ending conclusion about something? Oh, I thought it, but you never want to be wrong. So I began thinking all of life was you never want to make mistakes. You don't want to make mistakes. And so I try to keep my children from making mistakes. No, don't do that. Let me protect you around here. Let me put you around this, put this bubble around you because I don't want you to make any errors. I don't want you to fail at all. Doggone it. They made mistakes. They failed at some things. I mean, what? But. Then I realized the skin knee is a part of life. The issue is help them understand that everyone makes mistakes. And I don't expect you to be flawlessly perfect. Oh, what else can you do then? You can explain the problem. Calmly help your child understand there's a problem that needs to be fixed. Where you made a mistake, maybe it was a misjudgment, maybe it was not enough information, maybe not following the instructions. But let's see, I want to help you work out what to do to fix it. Like if you did something, like if you put some Mentos in some Diet Coke, didn't realize, and you now had a volcano in the kitchen. Okay, well, what we can do here is clean up this mess before mom shows up, okay? But help them, explain what went wrong if you know, and then help them correct it. Third thing, don't always try to rescue them from the consequences of poor decisions. Overcome the temptation to rescue your child from the consequences of their mistakes. Help them realize the consequences of their actions, such as maybe they did something or said something and other children don't want to play with them, or people being upset about what they did or didn't do, or they might wind up getting detention at school for something that they actually did. These first 6 keys prepare them for adulthood and to become an entrepreneur or an employee. Really. The 7th one could be a real lifesaver. Key number 7, teach them how to swim. Is that a metaphor? No. Teach them how to swim. Why? Swimming is fun. It's a fun skill and it can save their life. Let me share this with you. The fatal drowning the fatal drowning rate of African American children ages 5 to 14 is almost 3 times that of white children in the same age range. In swimming pools, African American children ages 5 to 19 die at rates 5.5 times higher than those that are white. The Center for Disease Control notes that the disparity is most stark among kids 11 and 12. In that age group, African American children are 10 times more likely to drown than their white counterparts. Take your children to the Y, or wherever they can learn how to swim. If you know how and you can teach them, take them to the pool, teach them how to swim. It can be fun and it can be life-saving. You can teach these things in a Karate Kid sort of way. You know, up, down, wax on, wax off. What is that? I'm trying to teach you something useful that prepares you for something needful. Okay, so how does that prepare them for war? 1, learning the word provides the foundation for a fruitful life. Number 2, listening helps one avoid misunderstandings and causes you to be aware of your surroundings. Number 3, time is limited, so use it wisely. Number 4, communication helps connect with other people. Number 5, building things, board games, or sports can build confidence, camaraderie, and can reveal creativity. Number 6, mistakes, failures, and things not working out as hoped or planned will happen. How we handle them can be the difference between being depressed or developing a way to avoid that if possible and move forward. Number 7, swimming is a fun skill that can save your life and maybe others. The kingdom blueprint for family requires we realize the Spirit of God fills his people to minister the word of God boldly, as we see in Acts chapter 4. But this same Spirit fills God's people for practical things in life, as we see in Exodus chapter 31. Our desire at Tushiyah Life Ministries is you get the sound wisdom for a successful walk that God has called you to. Shalom.